Hi there, and welcome to Plant CEO. In today's episode, I'd like to welcome Helen Farr-Leander, the founder of Watson Wolfe. Hi, Helen. How are you doing?
I'm good, Anant. Thank you very much for having me.
It's great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining. You're actually originally from Portsmouth, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I know Portsmouth well from my university days, and after Portsmouth, you then moved to Guildford for a bit.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I was there for 15 years or something before moving to where we are now in Spain for a few years, to family, to learn a new language and that kind of thing. So yeah, we're on a bit of a journey.
Lovely. And it's good place to be, especially now, obviously in a lockdown, being in a different country is always quite nice. And you're in Mallorca.
Yes, we are. Where the weather's slightly better than the UK at the moment.
Yeah, it's a very rainy day in London at the moment, and
Yeah.
the thing that I remember the most about Mallorca is the TV ad. I think it was from the 80s, about the water. But I think I'm probably too old, and probably most people don't know that advert. But maybe I'll play it.
They might not. No, I know it was a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
The water in Mallorca doesn't taste like what it ought to.
No. The water in Majorca don't taste like what it ought to.
The water in Mallorca doesn't taste quite how it should.
Majorca!
Mallorca?
Majorca!
Mallorca?
Hi, Dale. Any danger of some refreshment in here?
Here you are. Get your laughing gear in there.
Oh, golly. The water in Majorca
What's that?
don't taste like what it oughta. Oh, gosh. The water in Majorca don't taste like what it oughta.
She's cracking. She's only corrected.
You're absolutely wrong.
Heineken refreshes the parts what other beers cannot reach.
Can you tell me what your background story is? What's led you to create accessories brand?
Well, it's a small thing that people don't necessarily know about me was that I was originally going to be in the police force in England, and I trained to be in the police force, and I had about 9 months or so to spare before going in, and I answered an ad in the newspaper for a PA secretary, and little did I know that job was for the beginning of Aspinall of London. I took the job, and the job wasn't a PA secretary at all. It was pretty much from the ground up with a startup. Fabulous journey, hence to say I never went into the police force, and I never left Aspinall for another 10 years after that. And we worked on building the company from 0 to 10 million, which was kind of where it was at when I left, covering customer services, growth, foundation of production and warehousing and operations, and it was fantastic. It's a great learning experience, and one I would never ever take back. And I left Aspinall and I went to work for a company called Graham and Green, interiors company. I wanted to expand on the industries really that I was exposed to, and luxury leather goods was one of them, but there were obviously many others like homewares and men's accessories and things like that. So from Graham and Green, I worked for leading marketing agency More2. So I had clients like Not on the High Street, House of Fraser, and we looked at customer retention and loyalty and database management and analysing data to make informed decisions about how you use marketing spend and decisions such as that. And then after that, I did some consultancy stuff for other small brands like Smart to Turnout, who do men's accessories, and I worked for lots of other little brands, helping them with their marketing plans and search engine optimization and website planning and building and things like that. it was after I had a career break to start a family that I realised that I kind of didn't want to go back into that, 8:30 till 6:30 at night kind of role where my children were young. And so I wanted to do something on my own and thought, why not? Let's do some accessories. So I started planning to do a luxury leather goods brand, starting with men's accessories. I always felt men were slightly underrepresented in terms of the offering that they were given, and I thought that was a really good place to start. But it was a sort of about, I don't know, sort of 6 months in or something like that, that I thought, oh, this isn't kind of working out. I don't feel as passionate about this as I thought I would do. And I decided to stop what I was doing and have a rethink about the direction that we were going into. Initially, we wanted to be British made with British factories and source as many of the materials as we could from within the UK. And that in itself is a huge challenge, actually, because manufacturing costs are still very high. Materials don't all come from the UK as much as you buy them from the UK, but that's not where they start from initially. And so the business model was kind of changing from what I initially wanted it to be. And one evening I typed into Google the leather industry, and that was really the beginning of something life-changing, Anant, really. I had no idea what was involved before. Naively, I suppose, the deeper elements of the leather industry had never really crossed my mind, and I started exploring what those were, and that's what really changed the business model to being one about leather goods to one being about vegan leather goods, and looking at options which would be more sustainable, not just from a business perspective, but for an environmental perspective and a future planet perspective. I didn't really want to be in the business of making stuff that was detrimental to the planet. That's not what I set out to do. So yeah, the business model changed, and that's kind of how Watson Wolfe began, really. And that was 3 years ago.
So yeah, I was just going to ask you, when was that? So it was two years ago since you sort of made that switch, when you also went down the rabbit hole of looking at the industry of what's going on. And last night I was just reading that people think that the leather industry is a byproduct of the meat industry, but not necessarily is it so that animals are actually being raised for their skin, which is which I actually didn't know, of how much of a big industry that is.
It's $1 billion industry, and there's just no way that the animals raised for meat are enough for that industry to continue to supply with the demand. So absolutely, cattle are raised just for their skins, and a lot of that happens in Asia and India, where the animals aren't really cared for in any real way. The levels of cruelty aren't regulated, and so there is a lot of suffering there with that. But also, when you ship leather around the world, you don't have to say which animal it comes from, and so it's my understanding that also the leather industry is substituted with lots of other types of animals as well. So when you buy a wallet on a market stall somewhere in the world, you don't really know that that's come from a cow at all. It could come from something else.
What other animals could it come from?
Dogs and cats.
Wow, really?
Yes, yeah. I mean, there are some places in the world, as we know, that don't really care about dogs and cats the way we do in the West. They don't keep them in their homes like we do. They don't love them like animals, like part of the family. Yeah. There are still parts of the world that eat dogs and eat cats, and so they're just a commodity, just like any other animal, really.
Yeah. I mean, even though obviously in the West we do have dogs and cats as pets, but effectively all animals are sentient beings, right? So they should be seen similar to your pets in the same way. So if they're killing a lamb, they should be seen as in the same sense of that. And
We would never tear a puppy away from its new mother to make it into food. And so that's what we do. And as I think, you know, during the whole journey of exploring and becoming, you know, developing Watson Wolfe, I really sort of remembered how my heart is actually a kind heart. And had I realized how much suffering I was impacting on animals then, and humans too. I mean, there's a human cost, I mean, to the leather industry as well, not just an animal cost. So
totally. So why do you think it's bad for consumers to carry on buying leather? And you know, what would you say is the main reason that we should be all looking to change, whether you're vegan or not?
I think there's several reasons, and I think primarily it comes back to what we're all trying to do now, and that is to understand exactly where what we buy comes from and how it comes to be, whether that be our food, our clothing, or the accessories that we buy. So just in that, you know, you want to buy perhaps organic food or organic meat, or however that your diet pans out for you, or whatever your dietary requirements are, or likes and dislikes. It's the same for everything. You know, do you want to buy a sweater that's made by somebody who's paid 10 pence, who can't afford to feed their family? And do you want to buy a product that's made from leather that has involved the harm, the cruelty of an animal being slaughtered for its skin, and perhaps not even being that dead when it's skinned, and to the pollution that's involved in preserving that material. So the toxic chemicals that are involved, the tannins and the chromium, are all extremely damaging. And in the areas of the world where we produce leather in the biggest volumes, there's a lot of pollution from wastewaters, from fat, from the skins, and there are people and families bathing in that water, you know, cooking with that water, you know, and there's a whole bunch of human cost elements to that. So it's not just about, it's about pollution for me, it's about the human cost for me. So the average age of somebody who works in a tannery for them to die is about 54, which is no age at all, really. And that's just because they're working in this environment for most of their lives, some of them from being children, inhaling and working in these conditions without the proper protection, causing cancers and, you know, respiratory problems and things they'll live with until they die. It's just not very, for me, that doesn't sit very comfortably with me, and I'm not sure it should sit comfortably with anybody else particularly.
Yeah, and also the handling process of, you know, the workers' hands with the chemicals on there. They typically don't have proper protection on their hands when they're handling all the leathers.
Yeah, and big vats full of liming liquid and stuff. They'll just be in it up to their knees, just treading down skins in them, and it's just, the whole thing is pretty nasty to me. And Ant, I don't know about you.
Yeah, totally. I'm totally in agreement. Yeah, it's just a horrible process. So if you look at, you know, the materials for, you know, the alternatives now, especially when they're making them more durable, do they go through the same process? You know, do they use similar chemicals? Is it a lot, aside from the animals, but the process of getting the end product?
It's cleaner. I think it definitely, without a doubt, nobody can argue that the processes are cleaner. I think when we're talking, although we have to be careful about when we say that, because if we look at mass-produced PU leathers that are cheap,
yeah,
then perhaps not. Okay, so there still will be chemical processes in that. And the factories that make those, we cannot be absolutely sure that they're not putting wastewater into waterways and things like that. And again, it's about, as a brand, and anybody who manufactures anything, it's about knowing your supply chain and understanding exactly what goes into which products and how. And so we've been very careful about admitting that is a problem still. Just like, you know, fast fashion production can be good or bad. Right. Not everyone's perfect. And so we look for materials with a cleaner supply chain, with suppliers who are committed to having environmental goals, who are certificated for whether it be blue sign system standards, whether it be that they've got their own water waste treatment plants, or whether they use green energy. And if they've got those sorts of credentials, you can often find that they also have great R&D departments looking at how they can reduce down the amount of petroleum that they might use in their materials, or rather than using chemical processes to produce the PU, they use water-based processes. Okay. And so I definitely think that the materials, the next generation materials that we're using are definitely cleaner.
Great. So what materials are you using in the products and the ranges that you have at the moment?
We started with a corn-based leather from Italy, where the base of the material is made from oil from corn. The corn is a renewable source. It's low carbon, if anything, carbon neutral. So it releases the amount of carbon that it absorbs when it's cut down. And we use that, and it took us a long time to find that, because what we wanted to produce in our range, and I was conscious about this when we started, is that I didn't want to have materials that squeaked like plastic. We wanted to have materials that felt very natural and had the feeling and the look of something that you'd normally buy made from leather. And the reason for that is we were starting with men's accessories, again, because men were really underrepresented when it comes to vegan and vegetarian accessories. Find something of really high quality I found impossible. And so I wanted to be able to replicate that as much as possible, which meant the way the leather is turned and edge stitched, or the way that it's heat stamped. We wanted to be able to personalize it with initials, because I think that's again that's a gifting thing. It's just a really nice thing to be able to do. And a lot of the materials that we were finding didn't have those capabilities or properties. So we started with corn leather, and that features really heavily in our collection still now. It's just really malleable. It's not too thick. It's not too stretchy. It doesn't squeak like plastic does. There is a PU content to that, but it's again, it's not a 100% polyurethane composition. And it's got and it lasts. I mean, we've got people that bought wallets from us 3 years ago that are still really happy. They've got some corner wearing, which is what you get when you're putting it in and out of your pocket with a leather wallet anyway. And I love the material, it's great. And now we've introduced Cactus Leather. We introduced that last year. And we're working with, or hoping to work with this year, Veggia from Italy, which is made from the remnants of the grape industry. I don't know if you've heard of that yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think that company's great because, you know, it's a byproduct of the wine industry, obviously, from the waste. So, you know, that's a tick. I know it's an Italian company, and they're actually working with Bentley to provide their interior of their cars, or an option to have vegan leather, if you like, if you call it that. If people actually in Italy, I think they've started to ban the use of the word leather if it's not coming from animal skin. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah, I think it's much like the milk in the dairy industry not liking us calling plant milks milk. Yeah. There's going to obviously be a backlash from any industry which has made its money from animals, or historically from any other product, that we're now looking to move into a future using future materials. So it's going to happen.
So can you tell me about your current product range?
So our current product range is still mostly masculine and for men. So we have wallets and card holders, wash bags, cuffling boxes. We'll be launching men's bags this year, which will be really exciting. And we've just launched last autumn our first female collection after quite a lot of demand from our female buyers. We've got a lot of buyers of women who bought for their men before for gifting. And we get lots of emails saying, when are you going to do a purse? When are you going to do a bag? So we made that a priority for the end of last year, and that launched with overwhelming success, really. I mean, we had no idea it was going to do so well. So we're really pleased about that. we'll just continue to develop in that vein this year. So more men's products, additions to our female range, and see how that goes.
Great. I really like the name Watson Wolfe. How did you come up with that name? And I really like what you've done with the branding.
Thank you. I do. You know, the wolf head is actually made of lots of W's. That's quite clever.
Right.
We like
Nice.
Yes. I mean, Watson is the name of my dog.
Okay.
He's a miniature
there?
dachshund. Yeah, he's here. Should we want to see him?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Your camera, ready?
Oh, hi.
There he is.
Oh, lovely.
Say hi to everyone. Say hi,
Hi.
everyone. He's pretty old now. He's
Really?
almost 14. Yeah.
Wow.
This is great nose.
Yeah. Have you tried to experiment with vegan dog food?
Do you know what? I think he's a bit old for that.
Really?
But we do give him lots of vegetables. He loves raw vegetables, so we do sort of, you know, substitute.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I know
add lots of vegetables.
there's a dog food company in Spain that's doing quite well. I forgot the name, but I'll put it in when I do remember. But yeah, so I think that whole industry is quite interesting as well, how that's growing. And you know, the oldest dog that lived, I think, was a dog called Bramble, I think, and I think he lived over 20 years on a vegan diet, which is really impressive.
I mean, look, and Nance, the information that's available to us now about how good a plant-based diet is for our health and our well-being is overwhelming, really. So the fact that it also works for our animals doesn't surprise me at all, really.
Yeah, totally. So can you tell me a little bit more about your customers and, you know, who they are, what are their demographics? Obviously, you know, you started with Watson Wolfe on the male side, but do you know a bit more about their age groups and, you know, which countries they're buying from, etc.?
We have about a 50-50 split at the moment of men and women. Most of our women, as I say, historically have been buying for men as gifts. Our men are loyal buyers, I'd say. We've got lots of guys that order from us frequently. I know we've got one guy who is quite active on our Facebook page. I think he's got like 4 of our wallets or something ridiculous. And one of them was added because one of them went through the laundry. But other than that, he's an avid fan. And our age range is probably between 18 and 44, something like that. So we've definitely got that middle, you know, millennial audience. Equally, we've got, when we're at events and stuff, we see lots of guys who are in their 50s and 60s that are now, you know, really fully on board with longevity and looking to change what they buy and how they buy it, and very interested in, I would say, supply chain. So really looking and asking lots of questions. And I love it when I meet people and they ask lots of questions about our supply chain. Equally, those people online who reach out to us through email or live chat to ask us where our products are made, what they're made from. I'm really, really happy that people are starting to ask those questions. It's so important.
Yeah, and at the moment, where are your products made, and where's the bulk of the current materials coming from?
So the bulk of our materials come from Italy. I think Italy's really leading the way in these next generation materials. They seem to really be embracing that. Most of our production is made in Turkey still, and will be for a while yet. And we've got a fantastic factory there who have historically only made with animal skin, animal leather. And when I approached them 3 years ago, they found it quite hard to get their head around it. You know, why wouldn't you use leather? But we've come a really long way since then. And now they often, if they come across a material inside Turkey that is sustainable or an option for us to use, they'll put it forward. They really are opening up their minds to the fact that, you know, this is the future, and they can see how well our business is doing as well, which I guess is another reason for them to really open up what they're doing to other people who might also be wanting you know, non-animal leather products.
Yeah. And from a marketing perspective, how are you marketing your products?
predominantly online as well. Actually, I should probably say that we're also now working with a factory in China, which I never thought I would ever say ever, by the way, because as we all know, we're not massive fans of the Chinese's ethical practices, whether that be animals or mass production. But that's also changing globally, and there's a factory called Vishin, which is aiming to be the first 100% vegan, sustainable eco factory in China. And we've just produced the 2 Cactus iPad cases with them, and we really have the quality, super high quality.
I know Joey, and
yes.
So he came on the show earlier this year. So yeah, really happy the way he's growing the business there now, and he's providing production facilities and his own expertise being coming from the sustainable fashion world as well.
Yeah, I think also on continents like Asia, where historically things haven't been great, the president there's got a big manifesto to make them more sustainable as a continent. He understands that changing what they do would have a huge impact on our environment globally. And if we don't get behind these factories which are trying to change, then nothing's going to change. So for me, it's about, yes, it's a long way away, but ultimately we have to support those that are trying to do good.
Totally.
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And so you're mostly running ads online, right?
Yes.
And which channel?
So we're predominantly, our website is our main source of marketing at the moment, and we run ads on Facebook, and we sell through channels such as Etsy and Amazon. We sell with really sort of forward-thinking marketplaces like Immaculate Vegan, equally ethical marketplaces like Worth London. Marketplaces are a really great way for us to reach lots of people, not just vegan and vegetarian people, but also people who are more ethically and environmentally conscious. And kind of that's kind of the our core audience really. But yeah, online marketing, print advertising, sort of not so much now, but definitely digital, anything digital.
Yeah, I was just thinking that you mentioned about personalization, where you can, as a gift, maybe initialize your wallets. It would be cool to have that with a feature of a rich content ad. So basically, you see the product come up, and then you can actually overlay your own. You type in your initials in the ad, and then you'll see that as part of the unit. I don't know if you've thought about that, but we should talk about that actually. It'd be quite cool.
We should. There's something there, definitely. Yeah.
So as a growing brand now, how do you set yourself apart from the traditional leather industry brands, wallets, and also especially to the ones that are, mainly plastic wallets, I guess, cheaper versions. And by the way, I think your quality is amazing from your website. The pictures look great. So it'd be good to tell me, how do you set yourself apart from a USP point of view?
So really, we've covered some of it already. So it's about producing a product which is as fine quality as you possibly can, which is comparable with something you would buy on Bond Street, perhaps, at an affordable price, more importantly, and that has longevity. And our customer service and our customers prove that what we're doing is in demand. We have 5-star ratings across pretty much across our whole collection, consistent 5-star ratings where people really are overwhelmed by what they receive, because it's just not out there right now what we're doing. We were the first British men's accessories brand to be making vegan items of this level of quality, and we still are really. Women, there's more companies doing women's products than men's, and so kind of that's where we set ourselves. That's our USP at the moment, is that we've got the high quality. It's as low impact as possible within the realms of what's available on the market right now. And our customer service, you know, we will do absolutely everything we can, you know, to make sure the customer gets what it is that they want, whether that's a special personalization for a proposal, or you know, a special birthday gift that needs to be there the next day. You know, we kind of pride ourselves on making sure we can do everything for everybody.
Yeah, are you getting a lot of those sort of last minute orders?
We do, but also we get people who want, you know, love hearts and personalized love hearts and initials and things as wedding gifts, or for their husband or new husband and things like that. So yeah, we do try and pull out all the stops where we can.
Yeah. And you're looking at now a new channel of revenue. Could you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, so I mean, look, times are challenging for everybody, as we know, since COVID-19 came in. You know, the landscape for online businesses and retail businesses with high street bricks and mortar stores has been incredibly difficult. Like everybody, we're looking to diversify and grow our brand. And one of the ways we're doing that this year is to take on some consultancy projects with other brands who don't necessarily make accessories right now, or make them in vegan materials. It might be that they make them already in leather, but want to have a vegan offering as well. And we're helping those brands design and develop those collections and bring them to market using our supply chain. So we've already got 4 clients we're working with already, and we expect that to grow over the course of the year. But we definitely see that as another string to our bow, because we've already gone through the pain of finding materials, testing them, knowing what works, knowing what doesn't. And we've already got a factory on board which has gone through the pain with us as well. So we've definitely got an advantage where that's concerned, definitely. And so we're really majoring on that this year. That's going to be one of the things we're going to be growing.
So yeah, so for a larger brand, it really is time to market, right? Where you can help versus them having their own team.
The growth of the vegan industry is exploding, not just with food, but with fashion as well. And the women's vegan accessories industry is going to be worth billions by 2027. And it's, you know, you as a brand, any brand, you'd be crazy not to be taking advantage of that market, really. And so not developing or diversifying your collection to include that demographic is, in my opinion, is a bit of a mistake, really. And you could get left behind, because actually, you know, the people going vegan and the people going vegetarian are in those lower age brackets. So not just the millennials, but the generation X's and Z's, you know, so those are the ones that are the more conscious of the environment and what they're buying. So we have to really, you know, be looking at those consumers of the future.
So thinking about those consumers who are really buying according to their own ethics and their own, you know, their own sustainability goals, if you like, and if they are starting to avoid these bigger brands that are, you know, causing more harm and pollution, etc., in their current process, what's your feeling about those dynamics between big sort of corporates and smaller companies who are innovating in this space, who have high ethics and demands, but we also want the big corporates to change because we want there to be a reduction of the harm? And I think what you're doing is great, by the way, because we need to get those bigger corporates to do it in a way that starts to change their products and starts to change their product lines as quickly as possible.
We do, but we want them to do it in a way that's not just, it's great, you know, if a brand, I'm not going to mention any brands, it's great if a big corporate brand brings out a vegan collection. What isn't great is if they use cheap PU materials in an already fast fashion supply chain, which isn't paying people fairly. So it's great that they are going to be, you know, having all these products available to vegans, vegetarians, but it really isn't about that. It's, if we want real change, they have to also look at their sustainability goals as a brand and launch these collections with more intention, rather than just looking at the numbers of their for their shareholders, in my opinion. So there has to be a balance between wanting these big corporates to have new ranges of low impact products, but not just adding to the the environmental cost.
Yeah. Just in terms of, I was just thinking about the women's collection. Watson Wolfe is a very masculine name. For somebody who hasn't purchased products for males before, do you think how will you be sort of marketing to them differently? Are you thinking about a different sort of range, name, brand? I don't know. So I was just thinking about that.
We haven't needed to be honest, at the moment. So I don't think we will. I mean, I think it's really all about look, in my opinion. And our women's collection is really classic, much like what we produce for men. I think as long as we have a classic range that isn't high fashion, that isn't going to be out of fashion next year, and that's kind of one of our core design mantras, is that it has to be something you want to carry longevity wise. It's not something you're just going to buy and then pop in the bin in a few months because it's going to be not looking as good. So I don't think we'll change what we're doing, but we are at that point where we've got a lot we want to do, and we're a growing brand. And so this year is definitely about finding some seed investors for the brand and trying to take it to the next level. We're ready to do that. We've done lots of testing with ads. We've done lots of testing with products. We know, we've already got really great traction on customer loyalty and trust. And so investment this year is going to be quite key to us expanding, not just on the channel that we spoke about just now for other clients, but also for our own range. We need to get some key resource in place.
In terms of that seed round, how much are you looking to raise for this beginning stage for your first?
We want to raise around 150 to 200,000 with the view that we will do a large raise and then take that to a crowdfunding platform where other people, maybe without, with smaller amounts to invest, will be able to also join in. That's been incredibly popular for other people, such as the Vegan Kind and other brands that I've seen exploding in terms of their growth over the last 2 years. And we definitely have the ability to do that. And I firmly believe that, whilst we are still really leading the way with the way our products are produced and the materials that we use, I kind of want to exploit that as much as possible over the next 3 years.
Yeah, great. So fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Your product range is great, and really happy with the new choices that you're making in terms of materials. Would like to see a lot more other companies also working with you to help expand their ranges too.
Well, I hope so too. This year will be a good year, Nance, if that happens.
So thank you so much. And
it's been really nice chatting to you, Nance.
Thank you. Yeah, we covered a lot today. So it's brilliant.
Catch up soon, I no doubt.
Yeah. Take care. Bye-bye.
Right, take care. See you. Bye.